Hello everyone, this is Fine from Awesome Tech Gaming Pro. Today I'm going to talk about the Sony X90K and the Sony X90J. Both are full array local dimming TV. You know, the Sony X90K is the latest in a long line of popular 4K LCD TVs from Sony. Most recently, the X90J. Compared to last year's X90K, the TV is equipped with a new version of Google TV and updated Sony XR cognitive processor. It also still has a 4K resolution, HDR support and HDMI 2.1 support. Sony sells both OLED and LCD TVs, but doesn't necessarily consider the former to the better the latter. Sony's approach to the X90K as a mid-range LCD TV with an almost obsessive desire for what premium models have, high brightness. In the Sony Bravia X90K 4K HDR TV actually is implemented in practice as well as the main features and characteristics of the new product. If I talk about its image quality, X90K has what Sony calls the XR cognitive processor. It's a technology the company touts as being able to understand how people see and hear, allowing you to optimize the contrast, brightness and colors of your content depending on what's going on. You can promise a lot, but how everything looks in reality, it's hard to say for sure. Paired with this cognitive processor is a new contrast enhancer that complements Sony's already renowned processing quality. As a result, upscaling up to 4K is fantastic. Poor highlight gradation due to low bitrate content is perfectly corrected and smooth. Although the BF panel used has traditionally narrow viewing angles versus IPS, you still get good contrast and color when off-center in the Sony X90K. A more significant problem with the X90K is that it tends to flare easily. The screen is glossy and the brightness of the TV is not enough to suppress even the slightest reflections. But the black ones are amazingly black, and as mentioned, while the TV is still not practically bright, peak brightness in HDR around 500 nits and HDR it does not exceed 800 nits. Its ability to bring blacks to such a depth means that it can generate some outstanding HDR visuals, including Dolby Vision. The downside of this contrast is that it's hard to find a balance between shadow detail and not blurring all the colors. Sony doesn't publish the number of local dimming zones, but manual count in the X90J showed 24. The company regularly states that the number of zones is a specification that doesn't match how Sony uses them, and to some extent this can be accepted. Sony seems to be doing a lot more with 24 zones than any other manufacturer, but it still has limitations. These zones are quite large, and in a clean test environment, you can clearly see that bright objects on a black background create a very noticeable halo. Let's talk about its motion processing and gameplay. Unfortunately, Sony X90K at a lower frame rate, such as movies or TV shows, may stutter when panned slowly. Stuttering refers to shaky, jerky video and is especially noticeable around the outside of the frame. In game scenes that run at 60 frames per second, this is not visible. HDMI inputs 3 and support 4K 120Hz, while HDMI inputs 1 and 2 support HDMI 2.0B ports. The Sony Bravia 2022 supports auto low latency and variable refresh rate. When X90K detects a game source such as PlayStation 5, it will automatically turn on the TV if it is turned off and switch to game mode. Game mode disables many of the image enhancing processes in exchange for low output latency. However, this technology is limited to Sony devices, so it won't work with Xbox, and you will have to manually switch from the remote and manually lock your settings. And even without active 4K processing, games look fantastic on this TV. You see, the X90K and the X90J both looks almost similar performance. The input lag test, I expect to see good values overall. After all, most TVs nowadays, even low budget ones, offer extremely low input lag values, making them excellent choices for gaming purposes. According to these measurements, the X90K measured an average of 18 millisecond input lag in both 100p and 4K resolutions at 60 Hz with the use of game mode. At 120 Hz, I measured 9.8 millisecond in both 1080p and 4K resolutions, which is amazing and will result in a completely satisfying gaming experience. These numbers are great, but slightly higher than what LG and Samsung offer in their TVs. But even as such, with such low figures, gaming can really be a pleasure. Just make sure you use the available game mode as outside that the input lag will greatly increased to around 143 milliseconds, which can still be used in slow-paced offline games, but it is too much for online gaming that requires blazing fast response times. I should also not forget to mention that the TV supports auto low latency mode that can be used with any devices that support that, like the PS5 and Xbox consoles, and can greatly benefit users. As with all Sony TVs, there is no HDIZ mode, but I don't get auto gen picture mode and auto HDR tone mapping, which are PlayStation 5 specific features. Thankfully, the X90K comes with VRR support out of the box, unlike the X90J that I had to wait for an update. HDMI forum VRR and G-Sync are supported but not FreeSync by X90K and X90J, both TVs. For testing the X90K's capabilities, I connected the PS5 and tried a bit of Call of Duty Vanguard. My gaming session was smooth and VRR also was enabled, making the image look far better with such an action-oriented title. The X90K does improve in some areas over the X90J, but feels like a small downgrade in some others. Color coverage is better and brightness is higher, making the overall image look more impressive. On the other hand, contrast seems to have become worse and the full array local dimming backlight felt slightly less capable than what I saw in the X90J, making blooming very distracting. Taking everything into consideration, I would say that X90K offers a similar experience and cannot be considered either an improvement or a downgrade to last year's X90J. If I talk about audio quality, as for the sound, Sony is using their own acoustic multi-audio technology. Sound on conventional TVs with speakers located below the screen is often out of sync with the picture. Sony's acoustic multi-audio includes two sound positioning tweeters at the back of the TV in addition to the down-firing drivers that enable sound to follow the action for a more accurate experience. Independent amps are controlled separately to precisely manage sound positioning of these speakers in high-tone areas, enhancing sound pressure and stability for more realism. Just for comparison's sake, the X90K seems to be exactly the same as the X90J here. No changes whatsoever. The system uses a 2.0 channels bass reflex speaker configuration with two full-range bass reflex drivers at the bottom and two tweeters at the back. Power output is at 10 watt plus 10 watt plus 5 watt plus 5 watt for each of these speakers. The TV obviously comes with Dolby Atmos support analog with Dolby Audio and DTS. Keep in mind that Sony is one of the few companies that still support DTS and can even pass through DTS X signals from its ER port. So if this is important to you, then the Sony is a no-brainer, as Samsung and LG have long abandoned DTS completely. But Sony went one step further and included XR Surround, which is their proprietary virtual surround technology. By converting inputs, XR Surround virtually reproduces a multi-surround speaker system within your TV, so you can enjoy all the thrills of more immersive sound in theory. Now, I've seen many TVs support Dolby Atmos, but with their simple audio systems, they failed to reproduce it the way it was into. The acoustic multi-audio system is in general a step up from the standard 2.0 channel system. I see in many middle tier and most low-cost TVs, but unfortunately even that cannot make the sound that emits from the X90K feel more cinematic and impressive. Audio output was good enough for casual use, but not for use in a home theater room. If you really want to feel how Atmos or sound activity sounds, like, you will at the very least need to get a soundbar with either Atmos or sound speaker support. So the X90K has also features acoustic auto calibration in order to get the best audio performance no matter your sitting position. This can be used in combination with the new Bravia cam, as it will detect where you sit in the room and calibrate the audio accordingly. These features will be available after a firmware update. So if you already have Sony X90J, I don't think you should upgrade to Sony X90K. But if you are a user of Sony Bravia X900F, you may upgrade. So that's it from now. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications update. Thanks for watching.
To change your